Welcome back to another edition of UTalks. I am your host, Dr. Laci Coppins-Robbins, Executive Director for Urban Learning Collaborative. I'm so excited because on today, we are so fortunate to have one of our most famous alum. I'm super delighted to be able to join with us on today from Milwaukee Spanish Immersion School, Senora Toni Fink. So, Miss Fink, we're so glad to have you here with us on today. Welcome.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah. So, being a part of our conversation today, a few things that I'd like to be able to highlight. One is your experience being an alum of at the time, Milwaukee Teacher Education Center, MTech Teacher Education Program. So, take us back. What was it like? How did you even hear about the program to start with?
Okay, good question. I always wanted to be a teacher, but I didn't think I was smart enough. I always grew up thinking teachers were the everything.
Wow.
And so I was a Spanish major, and I thought, well, I can do lots of things with that. And I lived out of the country, and I taught at an immersion school in Ecuador.
Oh.
And they were not looking for licensed teachers, but just all their experiences combined together that would make good leaders and teachers. And so I knew I wanted to then, okay, I can do this. I'm going to get my teacher certification. So I came back. And I did not know of it. My mother-in-law, who was alive at the time, had heard about it. And I thought, okay, you needed a bachelor's. I got that. And so we applied. We had an interview. And then I was accepted. And I was kind of like, okay, here we go.
Like, now what?
Yeah, exactly. And that time it was 2 licenses. It was a double program that year. It was
Okay.
bilingual. And then your regular teacher license. So it was double
Nice.
while teaching. And that's it. 25 years later, here I am.
Here you are,
Yeah.
still teaching, still holding it down. And
That's
what
right.
grade are you teaching this
I
year?
now teach second.
Second
Yeah.
grade. So that's like 7,
8.
8-year-olds.
Yes.
All right. So you are the courageous one there in elementary school, teaching the
Definitely.
littles.
Mhm.
And now when you look back from when you first started in education to where you are present day, how has what from the MTech program was the greatest impact for you?
I love the diversity of our group. So the groups that we were in, our cohorts were very diverse, people from all different backgrounds coming into teaching. So that was really exciting to hear everybody's strengths coming together for the purpose of teaching. So I learned so much from all of that. We had mentors, and they were very active in our buildings, made you feel just you could do anything with their support. And then I just think MPS was very supportive too. And they were excited to have us. And it wasn't so much, it didn't feel like teacher shortage. It was like, wow, new exciting people
Yeah.
excited about being in education. And so I want to say like the most that I gotten is the diversity and like adversity. So when things come up, it's like, nope, we did this program. It was intensive. Look at us. We can do all these other things too.
Yeah. Well, because of your hard work and your diligence, we had the opportunity to recognize you as a part of at the time, it was called the Urban Learning Collaborative or ULC Gala, which we've now since rebranded to Fall Ball. And we were so excited to recognize all of your background, all of your efforts as our alum of the year. So take us back. When you found out that you were selected as the alum of the year, what went through your mind?
I don't do the work for recognition. I just do it because I love it so much. So being recognized feels almost awkward. Like I just do it because I love the kids. And so it was really an honor. I took it really to heart. So I just think the work that we do is very important, and I'm very kid focused. And so it just felt like that is something people honor. Just seemed so amazing, to be honest. So it was really great. And to think that there's a lot of misconceptions about certification programs, and to think that this program has carried me this far and I feel like made me a strong educator. And I often say, like, if you went to Harvard to be a teacher, that doesn't mean you're going to be a good teacher.
Now that's true.
You know,
That's
you
very
need to
true.
have some, I say, instincts about it. And so I just say, like, I compare that MTech experience to, well, you went to Harvard, I went to MTech. You know,
Yeah.
so that kind of thing. Yeah. So it was
Absolutely.
really, truly an honor. Yes.
It's such a just great time of the year for us to be able to recognize different people from across various components, right? Education adjacent individuals who are formerly in education. I'm really proud to be able to say that we have alum who have gone all the way to the governor's office and working in his cabinet. And so we have seen our alum also matriculate out of the classroom, become principals, assistant
Mhm.
principals, central office staff. And so to me, that really speaks to the foundation that we have been able
Yes.
to partner and, connecting together. One highlight that people have often shared is their mentor and
Yes.
connecting with their mentor and their cohort. Have you still maintained contact with your mentor and cohort members?
So it's interesting because I agree with you. I see a lot of my cohort members and leadership with the union and leadership of central office and above. And I'm so proud of us. Like, look what we
Mhm.
did. And we were early on in the program. So I think
Okay.
you can see that this
Mhm.
evolution of our careers. My mentor moved away, but she had a history with my school at Spanish Immersion. And so other people knew her at the school too, Marta Ramirez. And she was wonderful and supportive. And we stayed in touch for quite a while after that. And I see a
Mhm.
lot of the alums. I love seeing them. Like, look at them. I remember when we were in class together. Look at them now.
Yeah.
So it's amazing when you really see how many
Oh,
there are.
yes.
I love it.
Yes, at one point when the organization first began, they had cohorts and graduates of up to like 200 people at a time per semester
Wow.
because there was just such a need. And the partnership was at the time solely with MPS.
Right.
Now we have partnerships with, Wauwatosa School District, Brown Deer
Amazing.
School District. We are able to work across southeastern Wisconsin, which really has allowed us to expand the program, which makes it fortunate because others can benefit from being a part of
Definitely.
this alternative licensure pathway.
Hmm.
And you don't have to go back to a traditional 4 year, let me
Right.
start over, let me begin from the beginning, right?
Hmm.
I think that's something that makes our program really attractive versus some
Definitely.
other programs. So let's talk a little bit about barriers that you've faced, being in education, making this decision to still be in education 25 years later.
Yeah.
What are some barriers you faced in your efforts, and then how have you overcome those?
I think a lot of barriers are political. A lot of them are administrative things. I
Mhm.
know there has to be that point of administration. I respect that. I think we start losing what's important in the classroom, and it's about the kids. If the
Mhm.
kids weren't at school, I wouldn't come to school. I used to say in like we have one tomorrow, our professional development day.
Uh-huh.
I would much rather have the kids at school because
Mhm.
that's why I'm at school. And the professional development, we need it, but
Right.
it doesn't always feel focused on the students. It's
Mhm.
focused on other things. I think those have been barriers. I think society changing can also be a barrier, with technology when we had virtual.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
going to say this. I loved virtual. I met everybody's grandmas, pets, brothers,
Oh,
sisters.
interesting.
I thought I got closer with that group because I wasn't in charge of the classroom management. I just was face to
Mm.
face. And
Oh,
so,
interesting.
granted, it was like Wild Wild West for teaching,
Right.
but I kind of loved it. I love that way
Mhm.
of just being personal with the kids and seeing them in their pajamas and just whatever it
Yeah.
was. So I kind of really enjoyed that, taking all that other stuff out
Mhm.
of the
Mhm. The
picture and
management
just,
of the
yep,
day and all of
technology
that.
issues aside, it was kind of fun
Did you
to
have
see.
attendance issues at all with the students
I
showing
did
up?
not. No, I didn't.
Wow.
No.
Oh,
Yeah, and that
interesting.
was my first year. I taught fifth grade for 17 years and
Wow.
was moved to second right before that. And
And you
so
survived.
yes, yes. And those kids just left our school from fifth grade last year, that
Okay.
first virtual class. So those are all, I think, things that resources and
Mhm.
funding also can
Mhm.
affect, what we want to do.
Yeah, so some of those opportunity gaps, right, that
Definitely.
we do tend to see marginalized groups experiencing. So, where do we think what are some things you think we could be doing better to close those opportunity gaps?
I think it starts in the community. I think having the families be active part of the schools, finding out what the families need, how can they grow to support the kids more? How can we offer things to help the families, the parents, the extended families that are raising the kids?
Mhm.
Um, it's without judgment.
Mhm.
We're all trying to do the same thing, and it's to
Mhm.
get everybody to be independent and successful. And what do we need to do that? I mean, school is the hub of all sorts of things,
Yes.
and educating is one of them.
Mhm.
And I'm a strong believer when you have a strong community, whether your classroom or your school, then you can kind of do anything. They'll learn anything if you've created a place they want to come to. And parents too, we want them to feel comfortable because if
Mhm.
they're not supporting at home, we're always kind of in this make 5 steps forward, go 2 steps back. And so
Yeah.
we're kind of not making enough progress fast enough. So I think when we are part of the community and with the parents, it's
Mhm.
together. I think that makes a big deal.
Absolutely. So, one of the things that we are recognizing with the Haberman Tyler found our award, right? So, everything with the award center is being and going to help to fund our Haberman Tyler Foundation um, program. And this particular program, we are focused on being able to support around literacy.
Yes.
So, for those of you who may be watching, you're like, well, who's Haberman? Who's Tyler? These were the founders
Yeah.
of MTech at the time, now known as Urban Learning Collaborative, ULC, who really, Martin Haberman, Gene Tyler, saw a need in the community, and they made the determination that they were going to do something about it and join forces, joined with some political individuals. The union at the time was involved. We have a whole episode, if you've missed it, that includes our board president who tells more of the story. But one of the things that we've always been connected to and what was most important for us is literacy. Now, I believe that every test is a reading test, right? So it doesn't matter if it's math or chemistry, if you can't read it,
Mhm.
you still are struggling through with it. So, how do you see literacy impacting the communities you work with?
Hmm. There is definitely a change. I think with technology, reading is real quick. It's
Hmm.
snippets. It's on your phone. It's on devices. So bringing books back, bring them back,
Yes.
and having them be excited about reading, sharing what they read, how they can share it, like whatever it is, getting parents to feel confident that they can read with their kids.
Hmm.
That's slowing down and just being a part of it. But it does affect things. I love integration, science and social studies together, making them excited. That's reading, but maybe they don't know, like you
Right.
said. In math, they're reading, they're doing all the things. But I think bringing the pride back
Hmm.
for doing it, I think resources to make sure we reach all the kids that need different things.
Hmm.
I'm always concerned about that. I just did my
Yeah.
reading assessments and I'm looking at the span like, okay, I need to learn new things still, 25
Yeah.
years in order to help the span of kids to be able to succeed or build confidence. Because I think
Yes.
when you feel confident, you're willing to try stuff, you're going
Oh,
to
yeah.
take risks. And so if I can just build confidence, maybe we can move forward.
Yeah. So, someone who might be listening, who they could be a classroom teacher, or maybe they're a parent, and they're wanting to build more confidence in their child or in their students, what tip would you give them? What's something that they can turn around and do like today?
Today, I mean, libraries are awesome. Contact your teachers. Can you send me something home? Is there something we can take home? I'm going to be sending things home to all the kids, and we have to get kind of alleviate the pressure of return it, hurry up,
Oh,
make sure
yeah.
it's safe. Yes, that's awesome, but also books in hands. What are
Hmm.
you interested in as families? Let us know. We can share with you. I think just getting some, and there's so many organizations in our area that offer free materials,
Yes.
books, and all sorts of things. So many great places. But I think just getting them and being excited. Just look at
Oh,
the cover. What? So
yes.
many cool things.
Yes, shout out to the Milwaukee Public Library.
Yes.
We in the Robin's Nest are definitely a part of their summer reader program.
Yes.
We love going to the library. It's so much to the point, like when I take my little bean, they know us
I love
by
it. I
name.
love
They're
it.
like, "Oh, you're
I
back,"
know.
But and it's a free resource,
That's
right?
right.
So
Yes.
let's take advantage of it. I mean, your tax dollars have paid for this, but
Hmm.
like, let's take advantage of it. And there's so many other things, even besides just books,
Right.
that you can access at the library as well.
So
Our
much.
library, actually, that we tend to go to has a maker space
Oh,
as well, which
wow.
is really
That's
cool.
awesome.
It's pretty, really
Yeah.
cool. And you can take different classes there.
Love it.
So there are definitely ways to be able to
Hmm.
plug in. I love that. Can you discuss any specific literacy initiatives that or programs that you have been involved in that maybe we can connect with too?
Oh my goodness. I mean, being at the Spanish immersion is a special place because it's an exceptional to the usual.
Hmm.
So it is difficult. I teach 100% in Spanish, all the subjects. And so that is a challenge for us sometimes, is getting appropriate resources for the kids. I would say, do your research and
Hmm.
what's available and whatever language you might need and what interest you might need.
Hmm.
I am part of the Wisconsin Council of Social Studies, and I do a lot of work with the Act 30 people in MPS and just finding appropriate resources for Native American studies and Asian American issues. And like those are all exciting
Hmm.
things. We have a lot of diversity in things. I mean, whatever you're interested in, just kind of look it up. I don't have any specific relationship because it's all like whatever I see, I just, it might be a lot of little relationships, nothing big, but just the hands just doing it, just reading a
Hmm.
real book. I read these little reading assessments, and the little girl read the first book and was so excited. Can I read it again? I didn't even get to ask her the questions. I said, read it again. Can I keep it forever? I was like, no, you cannot. But I will have another book for you, but it won't be this one
Right.
because the first book she ever read cover to cover. And
Wow.
so just that pride. And she immediately, I'm going to read it again. I'm trying to ask her the question. She's still reading it. I was like, okay, give it back.
Right.
But look at that 7-year-old. reading the first
Yes.
book cover to cover in Spanish.
In Spanish. So there's
Yeah.
that pride
That's
that's
right.
coming out as well. And I love the way that you just kept her encouraged, allowed her to read it again. It
Yeah.
wasn't like, no, we got to keep moving.
No,
You
no.
know, you really allowed it to
Mhm.
become personable for her as well. So I'm curious, can you share, like, even like that little girl, a success story from your work that highlights the impact that you've seen on the urban communities that you serve?
Oh my goodness. I tend to keep in touch with a lot of my former students because I'm proud of them always. I always want to support them in whatever I can do. So I've had the privilege of being able to see their babies, their weddings, their quinceañeras. Their a former student's actually taking my son's senior pictures tomorrow
Wow.
because she has a photography business.
Love that.
And so I'm always ready to support them. But I did have a student a while ago who um, herself felt like she needed support when I taught fifth grade. And she volunteered. I taught fourth and then fifth, and she was in both those classes when I looped. And can I come in during recess? How can I
Mm,
work? And back then we had the ABC kind of thing. So she was
okay.
maybe definitely below. And so
Okay.
she struggled. And so she just really worked hard. And I just gave her the opportunity. I just
Hmm.
made myself available. And after a while, she didn't need me. She just needed the quiet space. And
Hmm.
if she needed me, I was there. And I want to say by the end of fifth grade, she was proficient across the board, if not even a little better. And that's just her being motivated, but
Hmm.
and I just gave the opportunity. It's just the
Yes.
opportunity,
Oh,
nothing, nothing more but the little support and the
yeah.
opportunity. And I think you see that a lot. The
Hmm.
kids last year I had the class be like, we love writing. And I was like, wow, why? We just paced it so they could be successful.
Hmm.
And once they feel
Hmm.
successful, they can do
Let's go
anything.
from there.
And I never heard that before. I was like,
Right.
woohoo.
Well, it reminds me of the quote. I think it was Viola Davis when she was accepting an award, and she said, like, the only difference between her and a Meryl Streep is opportunity,
Absolutely.
access, giving, the same leveling that playing ground so that
Hmm.
she too could have that chance. And, it sounds like you're definitely doing that. When you look back over your career, so 25 years in, so you may be a little closer to retirement than not.
Yes.
What would you, if you had to highlight the most rewarding to date aspect of your work, what might it be?
Definitely the relationships with the students and the families. And like I just said, I try to maintain and stay in contact. There are three teachers at our school right now that were former students, so
Wow.
that's kind of super exciting. Passing on that legacy and learning from them as well is so
Hmm.
great. Calling them a friend instead of just a student is so amazing. And I just think the relationships, because if you build a relationship and you give them some confidence, you give them support, you just can, that is the highlight when they believe in themselves because you've believed in them, like that.
Hmm.
Every year whenever that happens, it's just, that's what it's for. We forget sometimes in the mix of all the paperwork and things, political, administrative, all those things, like sometimes
Hmm.
it gets lost.
Yeah.
So when those moments happen, you're like, "Ugh," back to, that's what it is,
Yeah.
back to reality, which is really focused on the kids in the
Yeah.
family. So I say I don't have a proudest moment because there's so many in the day every day, but definitely when those kids are getting it and you see them doing something brave without you. Oh,
Mhm.
that's it, because they don't need you in a good way. They
Mhm.
don't need you because they believe in themselves and now they can do it. I think that is like just the best.
So you made reference to, sometimes the days can have ebbs and flows. If you were to, and the research tells us that teachers are leaving the classroom, 3 to 5 years, they're out, they're
So
gone.
sad.
And administrators, literally like 5 to 8 years, they're leaving, right? So if you were to turn and tell a teacher who's thinking about, like, maybe this isn't right for me, perhaps I made the wrong career choice, what advice would you give them?
Focus on the good, focus on the students. That's why you're there. You have a lot of things to comply with,
Hmm.
and find time to do that because you have to. But just focus on why you became a teacher, which I'm sure was not to do paperwork.
Right.
Um, so the kids, how can you reach them? Really be their children without judgment.
Mhm.
Everybody comes from a different situation, um, and lead with your heart. Just really remember that when you're frustrated because maybe that student doesn't have a pencil, have the supplies, take a step back.
Yeah.
Why? Like I said, don't lead with judgment.
Mhm.
And sometimes maybe we don't even have to know why. Here's a pencil.
There's a
Like
pencil,
we want
yeah.
them to be successful. We don't want them to feel, like you said, the deficit. And we know
Mhm.
different communities are struggling more. And so that
Mhm.
definitely is a thing. Everybody should feel like they can come and be on the same playing field as everybody else. And just they can do that. They can do that. I expect the young teachers, they've been through all this stuff already.
Yeah.
They have way more skills than I think I did when I first started. I had to learn technology.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's just there. They have so many things to offer the kids, I think, in a different
Mhm.
way that maybe I did when I started out. And they just focus on how they can reach them. Song, dance, I don't know, the TikTok things, I don't know what they're doing. I think that they have so much to offer
Mhm.
and that they just have to focus on, the kids.
Mhm.
Just what is really about do your paperwork, meet all the deadlines,
Yes.
but get those glows every day. Like, what was that takeaway today? What was the smile I got today?
Yeah.
What kid raised his hand today or almost raised their hand today? Those are important things.
Mhm. And if someone wanted to get involved in an urban community or get involved, maybe become a partner with ULC or maybe even they decide they want to come by Milwaukee Spanish Immersion, what would you recommend with them and how they can get involved?
Oh my goodness. Look up the people, call all them, tell them you're enthusiastic. I mean, I think anybody who's enthusiastic, we're going to be like, yes, come see us, talk to us, let us see what we can do for you. How can we reach out to you? I think individual schools are great in Milwaukee Public Schools. Every school has its own style and kind
Mhm.
of, community feel for it,
Mm.
kind of reach out. I think what organization would say no? And find the thing that is meaningful to them
Yes.
and, go for it.
Yeah, I would totally agree. There's so many opportunities to be able to plug in to your community. So just like,
Yes.
Mrs. Fink said, even with ULC, we have ways that you can plug in, that you can join us, volunteer, be a part. We also have an elementary school, Milwaukee Environmental Sciences Academy, MESA. So there are ways to be able to
Awesome.
volunteer there as well. I believe like the more that we give back, gratitude makes room for more. And so the more that we give back, the more that we're going to receive. It's just the law and nature
Yes.
of things, right? So as we start to close out our time together, first off, I want to say thank you so much for even taking time away. I know the start of this school year can be really tough to steal away and have this conversation today.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with us about your experience or the importance of literacy in urban education or just education in general?
Oh my goodness. I'm so eternally grateful for the MTech program because it literally made my little kid dream come true. A dream I didn't think I could access because I didn't have the same resources growing up. And I just thought it was the teachers were in a different category than I was.
Mhm.
Um, and so that brought it together for me. And I just have all the love for real. And I think literacy is everything. And, we just have to keep learning new things. Things are
Mhm.
evolving. We have a whole new thing going on in our state right now, just doing what you can to learn, baby steps. You can't know it all at once. So, the expectation is we just got to do what we can as we learn. I think, I my dad's family is Puerto Rican. We grew up on the South Side. We didn't always have the same resources as others around me. I
Mhm.
remember middle and high school moving to Wauwatosa and being like, "Whoa, this is something I never seen before." I didn't know about this stuff. But on the flip side, I'd been to the domes. I'd been to all
Mm.
these places. They'd never been to the lake. They didn't know. And so I was like, why you don't know about any of this stuff? Like that
Mhm.
seems strange to me.
Mhm.
And so that was when I really realized, wow, there's a big difference. And so just I think all the experiences that MTech allows you to be focused on doing your best, being a teacher, all the things. I think working while you're studying, you're doing the thing. You're not just in a class like, here's what the book
Right.
says, you're doing it. And
Right.
sometimes we might have been like, that's not how it really
Right.
works.
Right.
And your
True.
mentor right there alongside you to be like, okay, let's work it out. I mean,
Mhm.
who gets to start a new job and have somebody right there with you all the time being like, hey, let
Right.
me help you. Let's do this. I mean, I think that just shows so much. I think that taught me also the importance of passing that on as well. I've
Mm.
always tried to be somebody in the building that if I had something to offer somebody else, I can do that.
Mhm.
That was not a natural thing, maybe. Maybe
Mhm.
that came from seeing the value and how much that impacted me, that I should do the
Yeah.
same, pay it forward. I see a lot of our young teachers doing the same now, too.
Mhm. Mhm.
They're leading things, they're finding opportunities for our school and for our students. It's amazing. It's
That's so
amazing.
good. That's so good. Well, again, I say thank you so much, Mrs. Fink, for being a part of our conversation today. Thank you so much for your daily contributions to a Milwaukee Spanish Immersion School. These young people, these families for 25 years and beyond
Yes.
have been so fortunate to be able to have you. And I am so absolutely delighted that we were able to recognize you as the 2023 Alumna of the Year. And that will always be something, a highlight of my tenure here as well, that we were able to recognize you and all of your efforts. Thank you so much for being a part of today's conversation.
Thank you.
Yes. So again, be sure and stay plugged in for UTalks. This is only the beginning. You're going to have an opportunity to hear from other recipients from our past galas as well as the 2024 Fall Ball. We are not only highlighting our Alum of the Year, but also our Legacy Award winner, also the Rising Star Award winner. We just have numerous people that we want to bring before you. And so, as I always say, remember that leadership doesn't begin with me, it begins with you. Until next time, we'll see you soon.